Greetings, people of the internet. It's Scott with Serkworks Art Labs. Welcome once again to the underground lair where I create what? You guys know. Robots, aliens, zombies, and other imminent threats to humanity. And it feels like a while since I've come to you from the art lab. It's probably been about a week, and I apologize for that. But I'm back with a topic that I've been meaning to get to for a while, but I just haven't yet. And it was kind of re-sparked by a friend of mine, so I want to put in my 2 cents. And let's have a little discussion. It's a little controversial, but hopefully we can all kind of simmer down a little, come to an agreement, and let's discuss it. We can discuss it in the comment section or whatever, but let's talk about art block today. And while we're doing that, we might as well, just to lighten the mood, let's do something fun, and we're going to draw this little dumpster diving dinosaur. Let's get to it. Okay, so today I am going to talk about art block. Now, this is a topic I wanted to talk about for a little while. It kind of all came to the surface. Bailey J, I don't know if you know who she is. She's a pretty prominent YouTuber. Tons, I don't know how many followers, but she's huge. She put out a video about art block, and it was basically of the opinion that art block isn't real, just get over it. And it was kind of a tough love type video, and I think her audience isn't really used to that kind of talk, so because of that, I think she got a lot of flack from that, a lot of dislikes and everything. So since then, other people have come out with videos and everything. And I wanted to chime in a while back, but I didn't, I guess I didn't get around to it or whatever. So then it was kind of like, I don't know if I'm sure it's always a thing, it's always something that people are dealing with. But at the time, it was just like everyone was chiming in. I was going to do that, and I didn't get around to it. But recently, my friend Jeff Lafferty put out a video about art block as well. So he kind of re-sparked this conversation, and I had been on an Artcaster show that I do with Jeff Lafferty and Kevin Cross, and I kind of briefly gave my opinion of art block. But the reason why Jeff put his video out is because he listened to another video by a YouTuber, Creed Stonegate. And if you're not familiar with him, you really should check out his videos. I'll put a link in the comment or in the description. If you dig like old 80s cartoons, especially obscure ones. He does all these 80s cartoons and he gives all these facts, and I really do enjoy his channel. And he's just starting off, so definitely you want to follow him and check that out, especially if you're into all that nostalgic stuff. Great channel. But anyway, so Creed was kind of gave the opposite, sort of a rebuttal to the sort of that Bailey J video, and I think it kind of made Jeff think, and he put out a video, and it's kind of made me think a little bit too. So I don't know if I've totally made like a 180 as far as my thoughts on this, but I'm kind of like on 2 minds of the subject. So Creed's point was basically, if you say you don't have art block, that's great, good for you, but just because you haven't experienced something doesn't mean that it's like not a real thing. And the thing is, I've experienced times where I wasn't inspired, or I just don't like my work. Actually, I mean, to be honest, that's more often than not. I mean, right now I'm kind of in the middle of October, and I have to tell you that like at least half of the stuff that I'm posting on my Inktober, I don't really want to post. I'm not really happy with it. It's not, it's not what I consider the best that I could do, well, it is a sketch and everything, and I understand that, but it's still, maybe I didn't spend enough time on it. Maybe the vision wasn't right to begin with, or whatever. There's a myriad of things that go on in your head when you finish this piece, and you're just not happy with it. But the thing is, I'm committed to that challenge. I decided to take that challenge, so if it's good or bad, I'm still going to post it. And not everything's going to be great. but hopefully there's an idea in there or something that's of some sort of value. But I can sympathize with Creed with his point about art block, and because I understand what he's saying. Just because you haven't dealt with it doesn't mean it's a real thing. Because in my life and career and everything, I've read a lot of like self-help books and stuff, and and some of them are okay, but a lot of them is just like it's somebody that was successful doing something, and just because you've done certain things a certain way and have found success doing that, I think sometimes if you're in that position, you just think, well, I did it, anyone can do it. And that's really not necessarily the case. There's all kinds of different people. There's different personalities. People who are like A-type personalities are probably going to do better in a situation like that, where somebody who's like me is a little more introverted. I'm gonna struggle with that. But sometimes you just kind of have to try to overcome that, and it's difficult. It's been difficult my whole career. I mean, because if I was just this kind of go-getter that went out and did all this stuff and just met people and could make all these kind of connections, I mean, that'd be great, but that's not really the way I operate. So sometimes you kind of have to find, this is a creative business, and sometimes you have to find creative ways to find work, or to do the things you want to do. And I'll admit, I have been the guy that kind of was like, who said, just buckle down and do it, but from my point of view, it's like, so I've done art for a living. I do it as a day job. I'm a single dad. I've got 3 kids, but I still manage to put out art. I still manage to put out videos. So sometimes, and maybe it's insensitive of me, but sometimes I see people who complain about being unproductive or whatever, and but at the same time, a lot of times they're like talking about all the TV shows they've watched or all the video games they've played. So that's why in the past I've been a little harsh as far as, there's no such thing as art block. But I'm not saying that to be a jerk or be insensitive. Again, it's kind of this tough love, because if you want to do art for more than just a hobby, and if you do just want to do it for a hobby, then there's no issue with that. But if this is something you want to do for a living, you just can't use art block as an excuse. You can't go in, if you have a job doing art, you can't go into the office or call in the office and say, sorry boss, I can't come in today, my art block is acting up, or sorry Mr. Client, art block's flaring up real bad, it's just not going to happen. You're going to have to wait till, I'm at a better place. That you just, whether it's a real thing or not, you can't really use that as an excuse if you want to do this as a professional. So rather than just me saying, art block isn't real, just, get over yourself, stop being lazy, just make art. Let's try to figure out some solutions to this. So, what do you do if you feel like you have art block? Well, the first thing I think the major thing you need to do is you kind of have to alter your mindset. Now I'm going to go back to Creed's video again. In his video, he said a number of times, he said it's just hard for him to make great art, and he kept saying that about great art, and I think that's where the problem lies, because you don't have to make great art, you just have to make art, and with enough time, your artwork will get better and everything. And this means sketching and scribbling and doing this kind of stuff, and ideas will form. If you can't physically pick up a pencil and move it around on a page and doodle, then yes, there is a problem, but I think it's bigger than art block. And the thing is, ideas don't just show up fully formed. I think people have this weird idea of these epiphany moments where, this great idea will just come to you and you just go right to the page and you jot it down. You see this in movies. Doc Brown falls on his head, bumps his head. He comes up with the idea for the flux capacitor, and the next thing you know, he's built the DeLorean time machine. But inventing and things like that don't happen like that. You may have you may have some sort of idea, but then there's trial and error and there's working things out. I mean, ideas like that rarely show up fully formed. You know, for my comic book Young and the Dead, I mean, sure, I came up with an idea or a couple ideas or a few different ideas, but that doesn't make a story. And like, same thing with the Inktober thing. You know, even though, you know, a small percentage of those drawings, when I'm done with them, I'm actually happy with, and I'm like, oh, this is kind of cool, I dig this. Like I said, I still post them up there, but even though I may not be totally happy with it, there may be something in the process of creating that drawing, or there may be a small thing within that drawing, some small nugget that I can actually use for something else. Or later on down the line, it's like, well, I kind of, back then I drew this one picture and of, you know, a dinosaur with bulldozer arms or something, and maybe that wasn't the greatest thing, but there's something there and I can build off of that somehow. So, and you know, that's how creativity works. And you need to, you need to express and exercise these creative muscles. And the thing is, like I said before, like, I think some people that put out the videos, there's no art block, and kind of like I've said it myself in the past. I think a lot of people are saying, you know, stop being lazy. And in all honesty, I think it has very little to do with laziness. I think some people, in some cases, yeah, people are just lazy and don't do work. But I think in most cases, it has way more to do with fear than laziness. Fear that, you know, your work's not going to turn out right, or it's not going to be good enough, or that people just aren't going to like it. And that fear will stop you from creating. So the thing you need to understand is that almost every artist has those feelings, even pros, even people that have successful artists. The only thing is, successful artists have to find a way to overcome that, and it's not easy, but it can be done. You know, again, when I was talking about the self-help stuff and everything, and you know, I always, when I read these books again, I go back to, yeah, but this guy, he's got this personality. He's this A-type personality. It's no big deal for him to go knock on doors and you know, make things happen and all that. And naturally, I'm not like that. But sometimes you have to, and it's not easy. But sometimes you have to at least try a little bit to, you know, either incorporate some of those techniques that some of these people that have it so easy can do. Like when I was first starting off as a freelance illustrator, in order to get clients, I mean, you have to like make cold calls, and I absolutely hated that. But you know, it was very difficult. I had to psych myself up and do all this stuff, but you know, eventually I did it, and from that I started to get clients and things, and I started to get results. And it's this, you know, kind of that same thing with, you know, making videos. When I first started doing YouTube videos, I was never on camera. I didn't want to see myself on camera. I was very kind of awkward, but that's the same with anybody, you know. But now I've been doing this for, you know, a couple years or whatever, and you get more comfortable. You get more comfortable talking to the you know, people out there that you can't see that watch your videos and everything, and you get more comfortable being on camera and all that. So, you know, a lot of it is just, you know, figuring out ways to kind of overcome some of these, you know, issues we have. And you may say, you know, well, that's easier for you. I mean, even maybe it was a little hard for you to do, but you did it anyway. But you know, that's just, I just can't do it. I'm not, you know, I can't. It like, I get, you know, it's just not in my nature. There's no possible way I can do that. And you know, if that may be a symptom of a bigger problem. You know, there could be a mental thing, but I'm not sure that. I think that's a separate thing from art block. I mean, I follow a lot of creators on YouTube that have, you know, went on the record and say, and have kind of been candid about their like mental health and the fact that they have, you know, severe chronic depression and anxiety. But it's weird because a couple of those people that have said that on their videos, I mean, they're like some of the most productive people I've seen. It's so, you know, I don't know that that's the same thing. And again, I'm not a psychologist, and fortunately for me, I haven't ever had like any kind of like chronic mental issues. I've had, you know, situational stuff, you know, things happen in your life, and then you're just like, I can't create, you know, I just, you know, and then, you know, things get better and everything. So I can kind of see it there, but I'm just not. Fortunately for me, I'm not. I don't have those issues, but I think that's a larger problem, and you know, obviously, if that's something that you're having, then that could be looked into, you know, other ways. But I think, you know, art block is more of a symptom than a condition. So if you're in the camp of, you know, it's hard for you to create because you're worried that your stuff's not gonna look good, or, you know, people aren't gonna like it or whatever. In a way, you know, that's kind of a good thing, because if you can look at your work critically, you know, with that critical eye, and you can see the flaws in it, then you can start to correct those flaws, and that's when you start to improve. I don't know if you guys remember, if you guys used to ever watch like American Idol, when they had those first auditions, and they would have these people come on and they perform, and they were just horrendous. I mean, they just had no ability to sing whatsoever, and it you know, it was kind of funny, but it was sad in a way too, because these people have no idea of how bad they are. They actually think they're these great singers, and they were just so, you know, tone deaf. But, you know, and if there's an artist out there who's really not that great of an artist, but thinks that they're all that, and that they're just this fantastic artist, then that's a problem. The thing is, I don't know too many artists like that, and that's kind of what I'm getting at, is like, I think most artists deal with this stuff, and some people are able to find ways to work around it, and to kind of, you know, keep that whatever that feeling is, whether it's art block or whatever, at bay. So, you know, bottom line is art block a real thing? Well, I mean, if you think it's a real thing and it's real to you, then no one's going to tell you otherwise, and then it's a problem for you because you believe in that. So you have to ask yourself after that is, okay, so art block's a thing, what do I do about it? And, you know, again, I think the simplest, and it's just like, you know, and to be honest, before this, you know, I know the feeling of not being able to create, or, you know, or just having a hard time coming up with ideas and things like that. I mean, it happens all the time. You know, it's a constant thing. Some ideas come easier than others, but most of the time you kind of have to struggle and work through them. So just know that almost all artists have these issues they go through, where they're either not inspired or whatever, but some of us have learned to work our way through it, and the way we do that is by sketching and doodling and dreaming, and just, you know, for lack of a better term, just doing it, just doing something. And the more you do, the more you sketch, the more you doodle, the more you dream, the easier it'll get. And just know, I mean, do something, but that something doesn't have to be a masterpiece. It'll all come with time, but this is, you know, you have to look at the big picture, and know that you're not, you know, don't look at every piece as, oh, this has to be great. This is just a piece of the puzzle, and the puzzle will come together eventually, or maybe it never will, but it will get better. You may not get that full that full puzzle complete, but you'll get more pieces, and you'll begin to see the picture a lot better. So anyway, I hope this helped in some way. And if you're still, you know, of the opinion that, you know, if you still don't like what I'm saying, then give me a dislike. That's all right. I'm cool with that. Anyway, thanks for liking, thanks for following, and I'll see you guys later. That is all.